the students will be getting into the lecture. And yeah, so we have been going to your third unit. So your third unit comprises of your high voltage generation and high current generation techniques. And in this we how the high DC voltage is generated, high AC voltage where normal frequency, that is a power frequency, and high AC voltage where very high frequency we have covered. So the last class we have been dealt with your Tesla coil, and the yeah, but I had some connectivity issues. Okay. That's some connectivity issues. Yeah, I had some connectivity issues, and now it's everything. So now we'll be getting into it. So we have been dealing with the yeah. Today we'll be seeing about the generation of high impulse voltage. Okay, so what are the techniques that have been used? Also, we'll be seeing. So here it is. So this is what we'll be covering today. So we'll be covering the high AC voltage. So which we'll be seeing about your spark gap followed by your Mark circuit. So so this is what we'll be seeing today. And moving on. As I said, first you have to know about what you mean by impulse voltage. So what is impulse voltage you have to know. So impulse voltage is nothing but you might have already studied in your power system transients. So it is nothing but the sudden spike in the voltage for a particular time period. Okay. So here in DSP and all you might have studied so impulse signal. So in the impulse signal what we are saying is for a time period of 0, your signal will be having a very high infinite magnitude. Okay, so after the time period 0, okay, that is after 0, your signal might be going to taking a some kind of minimum value. Okay, so similar to that, in the impulse voltage technique, there might be a sudden increase during the time of time period 0. Okay, so what actually it does is, so for the generation of a very high impulse voltage, so you will be making use of a spark gap. So first you have to know what is a spark gap. So a spark gap is nothing but two spherical electrodes. Okay, two spherical electrodes. It is similar to that of a capacitor. In the capacitor, you will be having two electrodes. That is electromagnetic conducting plates, which is separated by a dielectric medium. Okay, similar to that, here we'll be having two spherical shaped electrodes. Okay, but that and the capacitor will be having flat electrodes. Okay, but over here you'll be having two spherical shaped electrodes. Two spherical shaped electrodes will be there, and these spherical shaped electrodes will be separated by a distance d. Okay, so based upon this distance only, your voltage magnitude varies. Okay, for example, if the distance between two electrodes, spherical electrode is 5 centimeter, means the voltage will be around some 5 kilovolt. Okay, if it is increased to 10 centimeter, means the voltage will again increase. It will be going around nearly some 10 kilovolt. Later it goes. That's what they given. The gap space in D is chosen such that the breakdown voltage of the gap G is nothing but this G. It's greater than the charging voltage. Okay. So the output what we are getting from this spark gap must be greater than that of your applied voltage. Okay, so that's what they are saying. So the operation, how it operates means under constant input voltage, the gap distance reaches to a finite value. Okay. So this is the basic thing. This is will be used in the Mach circuit. So for generation of your high voltage high impulse voltage, you need a Mach circuit. So before getting into that, you have to know about the impulse voltage. Okay. So this is generally your impulse voltage. Okay. So the lightning over voltage wave in general can be represented in this format. So this you might have studied in your power system transients. Okay, this is your general representation of your lightning equation. So that is V equal to V naught into exponential minus alpha t minus exponential minus beta t. So here alpha beta are nothing but your time constants. Okay, are your time constants. If here they have given you an impulse voltage waveform. Okay, so here we are saying means they have taken your voltage, the y-axis in terms of your percentage. Okay, so that is at your time period t3. What happens is that it reaches a maximum time period, and after this t3, it reduces or it reaches its it is trying to reach a steady state, and it decreases gradually. Okay, so over here, you have to understand about in this waveform. You have to understand about two main parameters. Okay, so one is your wavefront time, and another one is your wave tail time. Okay, so based upon these two parameters, you can characterize your impulse voltage. Okay, so starting with what is your wavefront time? Okay, so wavefront time, always your wavefront time corresponds to your starting time period. Okay, that is, it is nothing but the 1.25 times the interval between T1 and T2. So here it denotes which part? C and D. Your waveform from your C, that's T1, to your D, That is your T2. So here is what only it is increasing in a linear format. Okay, this linear representation of increase or increment is nothing but your wavefront time. That is the time duration between your C and your D point is nothing but your wavefront time. So using this, you can characterize your impulse voltage. This is one parameter. Okay. So wavefront time will be defined in case C. It's not clear as 1.67 times. Okay, so here the wavefront time is nothing but you have to take the duration between this T1 and T2 and you have to multiply with your 1.25 factor. Okay, so if you are not considering the case of C, okay, if this C is not considered means that is you don't know the value of this T1 means what you can either do is that you can take the value from 0 to T3 and you can multiply with your 1.67. Okay, so that's what they're saying. So using this wavefront time, we can understand about the impulse voltage. Okay. So this is wavefront time, and for the wave tail time, what they're saying is that it corresponds to the 50% of the peak value. Okay, and its projection on the time axis is T4. So here it goes around the 50% of the entire value. So as I said, the voltage is represented in the percentage format in your y-axis. Okay. So what happens? They are saying for the wave tail time is the 50% of this voltage magnitude. You have to interpolate to the 50%, and you have to extend to your x-axis to find the T4. And this T4 value is nothing but your wave tail time. So these two are the main parameters through which you can define your impulse voltage. Okay. So here, if you are seeing means here they have given the tolerance. So you know about tolerance, right? Tolerance you might have studied in your resistance parameter. In every resistor, they might have given some tolerance in the silver or gold color. Okay, similar to that, here also this tolerance is given. The tolerance that can be allowed in the front and tail times are plus or minus 30% for your front time and 20% for the tail time. So in general, as per the Indian standard specification, so there are some kind of specification through which specification of standards you can have. So there are some standards through which these waves are being predefined. For example, you know about IEEE standards, right? IEEE standards you may have gone through in your power electronics course, and then IEC standards also there. Some of the IEC standards. So based upon these standards only, these are the standards which define the ratings. Okay, for example, according to your Indian standard, your frequency of power frequency will be around 50 Hz. But as per the IEEE standard USA, your power frequency level will be 60 Hz. So there are some standards for which the waveforms or some quantity will be defined. Similar to that, as per your Indian standards, they have given the time period for the wavefront time and the wave tail time. Okay, so what they have given to saying is they are defining your waveform as 1.2 microseconds for your wavefront time and 50 microseconds for your wave tail time. Okay, so here they have given the time period. Okay, this is for a very standard impulse voltage. Okay, and the tolerance they are giving is around here plus or minus 3%. Yeah, as per the definition, they are giving is plus or minus 30%, but as per the Indian standards, they are giving the tolerance for your only 3%. 3% means you can take the 1.2 times of the 3%. You can take it out and you can add it and you can minus it. Okay. This 1.2 into 0.03 if you are multiplying means that's what will be getting around your 3% value. So the next thing is the basic circuit for your impulse voltage generation. So how you can generate impulse voltage using your basic circuit. Okay, so that's the concept. So the wavefront time and the wave tail times are independently controlled by changing either R1 and R2. So here what they are doing is, here this V plus minus is nothing but the input voltage what you are giving. Okay, or you can take that as either a capacitor also you can take. Okay, that is if you are powering this capacitor parallelly, okay, through an input supply, this C1 will be having the voltage V. Okay. After this, it is given to a spark gap. So this spark gap is the one which is responsible for the generation of your impulse voltage. Okay. And the generation of the impulse voltage will be starting through your spark gap. Okay. And the output will be got through your V naught of T, that is the voltage across your capacitor C2. So here what they are saying is the wave front time and wave tail time is independent by this R1 and R2. So these two are in a parallel circuit. So these two will be of a will not be affecting your uh, wave tail time or wave front time. In general, it is nothing but a RC circuit. If you are taking a RC circuit means in your RC circuit the time constant T will be RC, that is tau. Tau equal to RC. Okay. In that RC, that is the time constant tau is the time period for the charging and discharging the voltage across the capacitor. And here, but the resistance is not taken into account. Okay. For a wave front time and a wave tail time. The second point is that the test objects which are mainly capacitive in nature form part of C. So nothing but here you can take the indicate of your load capacitance like that. You can take it out. Moving on, they are defining each part of the that is nothing but there are two loops, and those two loops are going through some kind of KVL. Okay. They have applied KVL over there, and they are applying your Laplace transform. So here it is an integral quantity. So it is 1 by S of I2 of S equal to V naught of S. Okay. And you are bringing, you are applying the current division rule over here. Here you are applying current division rule, and then you will be getting around the equation is like this, and you will be again applying Laplace transform for this. Okay. So after this, from here you will be finding I1 of S. Okay, I2 of S we have already got. So this I2 of S will be substituted over here, and then I1 of S alone will be kept on one side. Okay. So finally, after arrangements, the output voltage. So what you are going to find is your output voltage. So your output voltage V naught of S will be coming under this fashion. So it is nothing but your second order equation. Okay. So here your order of equation is a second order equation, and you are finding the roots for this. So S square plus this term you will be getting. So in order to find the roots of the equation, what you will be doing will be finding the sum of the roots and your product of the roots. Okay, so these are the values. So this is your sum of the root value, and this is your product of the root value. Okay. And after that, so taking, if you are substituting and taking the inverse, you will be getting the voltage. So this voltage equation is nothing but the similar voltage equation what we have got for the impulse voltage F1. Okay. This equation and the equation what we have got will be the nearly it will be of the same. So they are asking to find your impulse voltage circuit means you have right up to this. And next is the wave shape control. So this is nothing but the circuit for which the impulse voltage will be the wave will be controlled. That is, the shape of the impulse voltage can be controlled through this circuit. So this circuit is more or less similar to the previous circuit, but the difference is that here nearly some three inductance will be added. Okay. So here generally what happens is that through the value of your inductance, it is possible to uh, limit the or increase the wave shape of the uh, impulse voltage. Okay, so that's what here they are given. So LC is nothing but the inductance of the generator capacitance C1 and the lead capacitance, that is this inductance value. So L1 over here it is nothing but the series resistance or and the circuit loop inductance. So L1 is here it is at the test object. Okay. This is the what we are seeing in the above circuit is a very simple RLC based circuit. Okay, so but this circuit is has some limitation. Okay, what are the limitation means? This circuit cannot generate a voltage above 200 kV. Okay, and then the capacitor what we are using over here is a this must be of a very high rating. So if we are using a very high rated capacitor means only we can efficiently make use of this circuit. But if you are going for the such kind of capacitor means it will be cost very large. Okay, and over here the size will also becomes very high. Okay. So for this upcoming base limitation, we will be moving through your mark circuit. Mark circuit for producing very high voltages. Okay, for producing very high voltages, a bank of capacitors are charged in parallel and the discharge in series into the load. Okay. A simple concept. Okay. We'll be showing about this mark circuit also in the video. We can just infer from that also. Here, what they are using is the input supply is given to a capacitor, and it is charge and discharge through multiple phases using a mark circuit. Okay. Uh, through the spark gap, it is charge and discharge, and it is charge and discharge through a multiple phases. Okay. So here they are given. Here the condition is also the same as I have said in the previous. The gap spacing must be how it must be means it must be able to generate a voltage higher than that of the supplied input voltage. Okay. So here over the what they're saying, all the capacitors are charged to the voltage V. They are taking an initial voltage as V in about the 1 minute. So here they are giving the values, how they are choosing each and every values. So how we are choosing RS means RS is chosen to limit the charging current to about 50 milliamps. So the RS is chosen for that is the RS will be very high such that it can only allow around 50 to 100 milliamps. Okay, so this RS value must be very high. The generator capacitor, that is the C, is chosen such that the product that is C into RS, there is nothing to be time constant. As I said, this is your time constant. The previous one, your resistance won't be playing any kind of value, any kind of role in the previous circuit. But over in this circuit, where resistance will be playing the part for your charging and discharging. Okay. This is a basic knock circuit. Okay. What happens? The input and supply will be giving. It will be charged and discharged at each step to generate a very high voltage. This is the basic principle. So here it is a modified mark circuit. So here what they are saying, here the discharge time constant CRS. So your capacitor must be having a very small discharge time constant, okay, so that the capacitor will be effectively able to work. That is able to charge and discharge. Okay. So this is a modified part. So Actually, it's more or less similar to the basic elementary circuit of the Mark circuit, but the only difference is that the arrangements will be somewhat different. So I'll be showing this modified circuit itself in the video. Uh, what it generates is it saves space, and the cost will be also reduced. So this is the basic principle of your Mark circuit. So I'll be showing you both the video. This is your Mark circuit. So it won't be all the you just see through it. So here you can see. So here they are having the capacitors. These are the capacitors, and these are the resistors. Okay. So it is arranged in such a manner. Okay. So it is arranged in a what you can say. It is cascaded one over the other. Okay. So here is what your output. So here is what your output. So this Mach generator is generated for a 100 kilovolt output. Okay. You can see. So here what you can infer is that the voltage what it is coming is will be of a very short time period. Okay, so that's what only you are getting the flicker. Okay, you will be getting like a flicker like output because it is generating an impulse voltage. Okay, so the output from this what you will be getting will be around 100 kV. So this is a simple Mark circuit. Okay, and it's a simple Mark circuit, and your seniors, what you can say, your seniors may have made one shoe, okay, one project in the final year. So what that project does is that for women's safety, they have made a Mark circuit and they have kept it in the shoes. They have kept it in the uh, shoes, okay, shoes of the women. Okay, what it generally does is that in case of any emergency or anybody is coming to threaten them, what they'll be doing is they'll be turning on the Mark circuit through the shoes and they will be electrocuting them. Okay. So they have made such kind of wonderful thing using the Mark circuit. And another one video is that what the video shows is that they have made a very small elementary Mark circuit using that RC concept. Okay, it's a very elementary circuit only. What they have did was they will be boosting. So this is the Mark circuit. They will be boosting your voltage from 2 volt to 30 volt, I think. But here they will be making use of the AC voltage only. Will be making use of AC voltage only. In the normal boost converter only, they will be going for your what you can say DC voltage. Okay, this is a normal circuit wherein there will be so the capacitors over here you can see. So the capacitors and here you can see he is converting the 12 volt DC. There it is there the DC, but this is not a Mark circuit. Okay, so because the Mark circuit is for your AC voltage. Okay, what he is giving out is a DC input and the output what he is getting is a 30 volt direct current. It is similar to that of a boost converter. Okay. So this video you can just omit it. This video alone you can just see. This is how your mark circuit generally looks like. Okay. So, okay, this I think we can stop today's lecture. Okay. So if you're having any doubts, you can just ask. So after the completion of this high voltage AC, we will be moving towards your high, that is high current generator. Okay, after this,